One thing about Ibrahim alayhi salam I'll highlight. Ibrahim alayhi salam followed the truth no matter who didn't like it. When he was a young man, his dad didn't like it. When he was a little bit older, his society didn't like it. And he stood by the truth no matter if everybody in the world hated him and were okay with throwing him into a fire. That's okay. I'm not letting go of what I believe. I stand by what, I'm not afraid of my culture. I'm not afraid of my peers. I'm not afraid of people that are more powerful than me. I'm not afraid of my family. I will stand against anyone in my loyalty to Allah. What does the loyalty to Allah look like today? The loyalty to Allah, now that the Quran came, is loyalty to the book of Allah. Why? Allah Himself describes it. You've all heard the phrase, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Right? Hold on to Allah's rope. You know what the synonym for that phrase is in the Quran? وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِاللَّهِ كَأَنَّهُمَا شَيْء. As though they're one thing. Hold on to Allah and hold on to the rope of Allah. What's the rope of Allah? The Quran is one thing. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam was loyal to his Rabb, we can only show loyalty to our Rabb by being loyal to what? The Quran. Now, we don't have idol worshippers to fight like Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ain't nobody throwing us in a fire. But let me give you a reality check. Allah says, لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل. By the way, right after the ayat of Ramadan, Allah says, don't consume each other's money using lies. Don't use a lawyer to win a case which you know you stole the money, but you got a good lawyer and got away with it. Don't do that. Don't be biased when it comes to distributing the inheritance so you can get more of the share and you know you don't deserve it. That's coming right after Ramadan. There are financial instructions. Right after. Allah says, eat whatever's on the earth, halal and tayyiba. There's such a long list. If you search right now, halal in this area, find halal, zabiha, extra zabiha. We even recite all of Surah Al-Baqarah on our chicken before we slaughter it, etc., etc. Super halal. When we think of halal, what do we think of? How was it slaughtered? That's what we think of. Is anybody thinking about how'd you make the money? You bought really halal chicken with really haram money. Is that halal? You know what we've done? We have partial loyalty to the book of Allah. When it comes to money matters, partial loyalty to the book of Allah. When it comes to cultural matters, partial loyalty to the book of Allah. And then we say that we are the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I mindfully read the Quran, and then I look at myself, I look at my family, I look at my culture, I say, whoa, something is off. Something is way off. What's going on here? What is going on here? Like Allah, for example, will talk about taking care of the orphans. For example, the only orphans we take care of are the ones that show up on a brochure. The only orphans we take care of is a crisis video somewhere far away on a car. Do you know the orphans in your neighborhood? You know the orphans in this masjid? You know when was the last time you spoke to the orphans in your own family? There are some orphans in your family. Some kids lost their parents. When was the last time you connected with them? You think when the Sahaba were reading the ayat about orphans, they were looking up who to save thousands of miles away first or in their immediate vicinity? When Allah is talking, and this was recent because it's in my mind because I was just teaching Surah Al-Talaq. In Surah Al-Talaq, Allah says, when you divorce a woman, do not kick her out of her house. For 3 months or 3 cycles, you cannot expel her from the house. The most populated part of the Muslim world, the most Muslims in the world are between South Asia and Southeast Asia. That's the most dense population of human beings and also the most dense population of Muslims in the world. When a woman gets divorced, typically in that region, the husband calls the lady's father and says, hey, come take your daughter, I'm done. Allah says, لا تخرجوهن تلك حدود الله. Those are limits set by Allah. And no, but I'm done with her. I said, come take your daughter. Or the woman says, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm out. Allah says, لا يخرجنا, and they shouldn't leave. Allah says to the women, they shouldn't leave. When I say we have to have a genuine relationship with the book of Allah, We have to have loyalty to the book of Allah, because Ibrahim alayhi salam showed loyalty to Allah. What I'm saying is our loyalty to Allah is our loyalty to the book of Allah. How are you going to be loyal to this book? You don't even know what it talks about.